Hey guys, so we're going to be moving on from our flip books, which is an analog way of doing something. We're drawing the pictures. As we draw them frame by frame, we make the changes. Now we're going to go into a digital form of that as we push towards our final goal of making a stop motion video. All right. The way we're going to do that is get into something we call Google Slides animations. So we're using Google Slides almost like a flip book. As we go from slide to slide, you'll make small changes, just like you would on the flip book that you drew small changes. The difference is you can get a little more complex with these, right? You can still add your artistry in there if you want to take pictures of it, if you want to work with your graphic design chops and see how you're doing, by all means do that. But the process is going to look very similar. All right. Now the goal for our Google Slide animation is to create a, let's see here if I can show it to you. We're going to create a GIF for our Google profiles. Everything you do in your Chromebook is through Google. And so we're going to have you create something that shows who you are to the people who are seeing your profile picture, right? So our requirements for this project, what we want you to have on your Google Slides animation. So you're going to want to animate things, 3 things, inside this circular area, because for some reason Google has made it a circle that is your profile picture. So we're going to try to fit stuff within this area. I'm going to give you some tips on things you can do, and throughout the week I might throw you some extras, some little cool things you can do to tweak your overall profile picture. Okay, so that's the main goal. That's where we're going. So we're creating a GIF or a GIF that's going to fit into our Google profile picture, and it's got to have 3 things minimum in it. I would encourage you to have more. Okay, more doesn't hurt, but for people who really want to have a rubric, I would say 3 things minimum on there. So a name would be 1 thing, not the letters being 6 things, right? So we're saying 3 main elements, and then you have to have at least 2 things on there that relate to you and tell others about you. All right, so I'm going to work through some examples, but again, the whole idea should be pretty familiar to you. This should feel a lot like a flip book because you're going frame by frame. You can test it out. It's a little easier to share in a digital format than it is analog, as some of you guys probably know when you're trying to flip the flip book up against the camera, right, for Flipgrid. So let's walk through maybe a good example and a bad example. So first, I'll start with a bad example, or maybe one that's not going to be as helpful to you. It seems like at first, if I want to animate my name, right, I'm taking the circle and I'm going to add an M and then an R and then a period, right? I'm going to spell out my name, and if I do it fast, let's go through the whole thing, and I'm your CTE teacher, right? So let's go back to the beginning. Let's do it. Just hold the button down so it animates it. Right? And at first blush, that seems like a good idea, right? You can just add 1 each time, and that's great. But remember, you're animating a minimum of 3 things, and at least 2 of those things on there, 2 of the things in this circle, should be things that tell others about you. So I still have another couple things to add to this picture that I've got to go back and animate, which means I have to put 1 here, and then put it down here again and move it again, put it down here again and move it again here, put it down again and move it again here. So to keep on adding the picture and moving it to just the right spot each time. So that's going to take a really long time to do. What you're going to want to do, and this is going to kill the students who really don't like planning, we're going to work on that a little bit, or at least you should, because if you don't do the front work now, you're going to have more work to do later when you're trying to make this, right? And if you want it to be fun and enjoy it, I would highly encourage you to spend some time planning. What I mean is, I don't want you to get to this place where you're here and you're realizing, oh my goodness, I have to start over again and try this over again. I don't want to do that. But if learning the hard way is your thing, then by all means, don't plan. So let's go into maybe a good example, right? What I'll want to do is this right here is going to be the space that I'm going to have for my GIF, right? If I look up here, you'll see we have a circle. There you go. You've got a circle that is going to be what is animated. So I'm going to try to fit everything in here, which means the good news is I can put all the stuff that I want to put into my slide on the outside here. All right, so I'm going to put a picture of myself being in the outdoors because I love the outdoors. I'm going to put a tower garden in there because I love to garden and see things grow. It's one of the things I enjoy about the space that I'm in is I get to put a lot of plants in there, kind of grow my lunch, that kind of thing. And just because I teach CTE and I enjoy aviation, I was a pilot before I got into education, I'm going to put a drone because I enjoy aerodynamics. So I'm going to put that in there as well. Let's copy this image and paste it in here. Okay. So I've got my 3 things, and all 3 of these things tell you something about me. Now, on my plan, what I would like to do is have my head, my picture here, come up from the bottom. I'd like to have my tower garden off to the side and growing things. I'd like to have my drone possibly coming up and landing on top of it or spinning around. That's what I'd like to do. All right, so that's my plan. I also want to have my name right here at the top curved along here. So that's really 4 elements, but again, like I said, I would prefer that you go above and beyond. There's no reason not to, right? So just have fun with it. So I'm going to first focus on putting in my name, right? So I'm going to put a text box in. And this is what I'm going to be copying for each slide. So let's take that back. The first slide is going to be blank. So we're going to take my text box and move it and put the M for Mr. Wampler in there and make it the size that I want it. Now you can actually go a long way in planning. I could probably put all of Mr. Wampler in different text boxes and drag it if I wanted to in that stage. But I'm going to go with what I've got here. So after that point, I'm going to copy and paste the slide. So now I'm going to put the first thing that I plan on animating. Well, the first thing I want to put in here is my name. So I'd like you to see the name animate first. I want my face to come up second, and then I'm going to have my tower garden and my drone flying third. You can do them all at the same time. You can do them however you want to. It's going to be your animation to play with. But I think that's what I'm going to do. So, get a little bit bigger. Okay, so for the first part, since I want the name to animate across the top first, I've got to put that in first. So just think about this like a flip book. Bring it in. Okay, and I want this to hug the outside of it pretty well. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap. There we go. I like that. So there's my M for Mr. Wampler. So I've got my first slide. I'm going to copy and paste, and then I'm going to put the R. So this process can get kind of long, but again, if you have your planner with you, you can plan it out as you go. I'll make this an R, and that's not where I want it yet. it just a little bit of a spin there. There we go. I've got Mr. Put my dot next to it. And we can come back once we've animated the Mr. Wampler. Okay, so I made a few changes. I went ahead and put all the letters on the outside, and I'm going to animate all of it together. I just feel like that makes a better GIF. So I put the M in, and I've made my hat just coming into the frame. I'm also going to add this tower garden coming in to the side. So we're going to put it in like this. Then I have my drone coming in from the bottom. So he's going to be right there. Alright, so then we're going to copy this slide and make our next frame. So we want the R to be in there. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am taking pictures that are sequential, that show growth, and I'm replacing the image with the new picture each time. So as opposed to moving something, I'm changing the picture. So I've got a bunch of pictures of a tower garden growing, and I am just changing the picture so that it can grow over time. Okay, so I'm finished. There are some things I would change. I also like the color green, so what I might do is go back, and this is why it's so good to plan. I have to change the color to the circle in every single frame. So planning is really good, but sometimes as you're going you get some ideas of things you like, and that's okay. Feel free to add the plan, don't feel like you're stuck with it. So I will spend some time trying to animate this circle with green. I'm going to do a light green. Let's see here. So I'm going to the bucket fill tool. I'm going to put a light green on there. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so I'm going to add green to all of these, and if I really wanted to make it pop, I probably would make the letters brown. I like the outdoors, and so I think brown and green is kind of some earthy colors, but I'm probably going to right now, just for the sake of this video, keep it to one thing, just showing you why it's so important to plan.